Hey everyone, and welcome back to Swift Guitar Lessons for another by request song tutorial. Today, I'm very excited to bring you another Leonard Cohen classic in I'm Your Man. I want to thank David for requesting this song, and if you, the viewers at home, have a song that you would like for me to teach next, click through the link in the description to swiftlessons.com and put in your request now. I got the tabs and chord sheet available for you at patreon.com/swiftlessons, where if you support the channel for just $1 a month, you gain access to a ton of extra resources. Now, let's get started with your lesson.
1, 2, 3, 4. If you want a lover, I'll do anything you ask me to. And if you want another kind of love, I'll wear a mask for you. And if you want a partner, take my hand. But if you want to strike me down in anger, here I stand. I'm your man. If you want a boxer, I step onto the ring for you. And if you want a doctor, I'll examine every inch of you. And if you want a driver, climb inside. Or if you want to take me for a ride, you know you can. I'm your man. The moon's too bright, the chain's too tight, the beast won't go to sleep. I've been running through these promises to you that I made, but I could not keep. But a man never got no woman back, not by begging on his knees. Oh, and I crawl to you, baby, and I fall at your feet, and I howl at your beauty like a dog in heat. And I crawl at your heart, and I touch your sheet, and say, please, please, I'm your man. Got to sleep a moment down the road, I'll steal for you. And if you wanna work the streets alone, I'll disappear for you. And if you want a father for your child, only wanna walk with me a while across the sand, I'm your man.
Okay, a close look at the fretboard, getting started with an acoustic guitar rendition of I'm Your Man by Leonard Cohen. We're going to begin with the intro section, where we'll learn how to strum this song, and also we'll learn many of the chords that are used throughout the entire tune. We're going to get started using an E minor chord. We'll have that for 2 measures. We'll have the chord B minor in its barred form. We'll have that for 2 measures. Then we're going to have a G major chord. Okay, you can play it in this position or as a bar chord. We're going to have that for 1 measure. Then an F sharp major chord for 1 measure, followed by the B minor chord for 2 measures. Okay, now that we have the chords down for that intro, let's take a look at the strumming hand technique. We're going to be applying alternating bass notes with eighth notes being thrown in between. So over that E minor chord, it would sound like this. Okay, so that was the low E string, then a down and up stroke on the high strings. Then I'll go to the A string, okay, plucking that B note that we have there on the 2nd fret, gripped in that E minor, and then throw in those same strums. So, E string down, up, A string down, up, E string down, up, A string down, up. And we're going to apply that exact same thing now to the B minor chord. Except the bass notes are going to be reversed. A string first. Reach your bar up to grab the low E string. And throw in those 8th note strums again. Double that up for 2 measures. Alright, then we're going to go to the G major chord, where you have 2 choices. You could just hold the low E string like that, or you could go E to A string. Okay, whatever you prefer. Same thing over the F sharp major. Okay, and then you're back to the B minor chord, going from the A string first, the E string, down, up, A string, down, up, E string, down, up. Okay, and that is a great strumming pattern for you to learn. It's going to encourage you to build your picking accuracy, okay, which is one thing that a lot of beginners and really a lot of guitar players lack, is really good picking accuracy. And it's a very useful strumming style for these Leonard Cohen kind of Tom Waits style tunes. Okay, fantastic. Now you have the rhythm aspects to that intro down. Now let's take a look at the lead aspect. This is what you're hearing on the original track being performed by an electric clarinet. Sometimes live, he uses a violinist for this part. But it sounds great on the acoustic guitar. I'm going to demonstrate it for you, then I'll break it down into a few different sections, and I'll even add an extra little flamenco lick at the end, something that you might enjoy. Okay, so it's going to sound like this. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, just like that. Okay, so the first phrase comes in on E minor, okay? We have 3 on the high E string. That rings out. Then we're going to play 2, 0, 3. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, then the next phrase welcomes in the B minor chord. Right there. So that was 2, 0, 2 on the high E string. That second 2, the B minor chord comes in. Then we're going to play 0, 2, 0, 0, 3, 3 on the B string with a little bit of vibrato. Okay, next the G chord comes in as the lead line goes up to the 5th fret of the B string. Then 3, then the 2nd fret as the F sharp major chord comes in. Play those 3 notes again a little bit faster. Then go to the 4th fret of the G string as the B minor chord comes back. Okay, so far you have over E minor. All right, B minor, G major, F sharp, B minor. And right there I like to throw in a lick of my own. Alright, that was D string 4, 2nd fret of the G string, 4th fret of the G string, 2nd fret of the B string, then 3rd fret. That's the first part of the phrase. Then you're going to do a hammer and a pull. 2 to 3 and then back. 4th fret G string, 2nd fret B string, and then resolve back on that B. That's the 4th fret of the G string. Which sounds great over top of a B minor chord. Okay, fantastic. You have the rhythm and lead aspects for your intro down. Now you're ready to move into the verse. We'll begin this section with the E minor chord for 2 measures. Apply that exact same strumming pattern. Okay, then go to a D major chord for 2 measures. Here we're going to play D string, down, up, A string, down, up, D string, down, up, A string, down, up. And you'll need to do that progression, E minor to D, twice through. If you want a lover, I'll do anything you ask me to. And if you want another kind of love, I'll wear a mask for you. If you wanna... Alright, now we're gonna have the B minor chord. You know how to strum this one. Partner, take my hand 2 times through. Or G major chord, strike me down in anger. Alright, 2 times through there for that G major chord. With this melody, I really do like to stay constant with just the E string as my bass. Strike me down in anger, here I... Now the A major chord comes in, stand. Alright, there I'm going to play A string down up, E string down up, A string down up, E, I'm your man. And I may refrain there, let the chord ring out before I go to that B minor chord. Okay, so E minor to D, E minor to D, that B minor, the G, an A, and a B minor. That's your chord progression for all of these verses. Let's apply that now to verse number 2. If you want a boxer, I'll step onto the D string, A string. And if you want a doctor, I'll examine every D string, A string, D string. If you want a driver, climb inside A string to the E string, down the G major chord, or take me for a ride. Just keep plugging away on that low E. You know you, A major, can. And right there, I like to hold out that A. I'm your man. Okay, that sums up your verse section. Now, if you're having trouble with those chords, or if some of those are new chords for you, you can use the chord diagrams, those that are provided on the chord sheet at patreon.com/swiftlessons. Okay, fantastic. You have your intro and your verses down. Now we're ready to move into the bridge. Coming out of the end of your verse, I'm your man. Start off with a D major chord. Ah, the moon's too bright. The chain's G major chord, A, and the D major chord. That's the first section of your bridge. Alright, so how do we strum that? We take the D major chord, root, down, up, down, up. Root, down, up, down, up. Apply that same thing to a G chord. An A major chord, and the D major chord again. Alright, now we're moving into the section that sounds like this. I've been running through these promises to you that I made and I could not keep. Ah, but a man never got, so on and so forth. So now we're back to our original strumming pattern. Over an F sharp minor chord, bar in the 2nd fret, setting up that minor shape on the A and the D string's 4th fret, ring finger pinky. Here we're going to strum E string, down, up, A string, down, up. So you're strumming this the same way you would in E minor. Okay, now to the B minor chord, A string, down, up, E string, it's reversed. 2 measures. Go back to F sharp, but this time make it major by putting your middle finger on the 3rd fret G string. Alright, then we're back to the E string to A string. Woman beg, not by. B minor chord again, begging on his knees. All right, then we're on to the next part of the bridge where it sounds like this. Oh, I crawl to you, baby, and I fall at your feet. Prowl at your beauty like a dog in heat. And I claw at your heart, and I tear at your sheet and say, please, please, I'm your man. Okay, so now we're back to that other strumming pattern again. Root, down, up, down, up. Played over a G chord. An F sharp major. Repeat. Alright, claw at your heart, G major. E major for tear at your sheet. And then the A major chord can just get a strum that rings out. Please, I'm your man. Then we're back to alternating to get us into the instrumental section, all right? And that B minor right on man, that's the beginning of the instrumental section. Okay, now with your bridge complete, it's time to move into the instrumental section. This part begins with a B minor chord. Okay, I'll take you through the chord progression here and the rhythms, then I'll show you how you can play a little bit of lead over top of this. We'll have the B minor chord for 2 measures. Actually, everything in this instrumental section will be 2 measures long. B minor, E minor, B minor, B minor, then the D chord, D string to the A string, D string to the A string, back to the B minor chord, A string to the E string. Alright, same strumming techniques. 2 measures on G major now. F sharp, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then back to the B minor chord, where we start singing. And if you've got to sleep a moment down the road. All right, he's jumping into the next verse after that. Okay, so that is the rhythm pattern and the chord progression for the instrumental section. Now let's talk about how you might want to jam over top of that. Okay, so you saw in my demonstration that I was able to put together a little bit of a solo that followed this chord progression. I'm going to share with you some of the tricks that I used. I only used 2 scales to be able to jam over this, and I want you to know that I didn't compose anything, rather I just relied on my bread and butter, the tricks that I usually go to with a bluesy, kind of flamenco-y kind of sound. So over that B minor to E minor chord change, the best thing for me to use, in my opinion, is that same scale that we used for the intro part. Okay, so that was the natural minor scale in the key of B minor. Okay, lots and lots of cool stuff that you can do there, so just kind of play around. Try to repeat that lick that I showed you at the end of the intro and see if you can fit that in as well. Okay, so the other scale that I would use is that blues scale rooted off of the low E string, 7th fret. Okay, tons of bluesy options there. Sometimes, occasionally, instead of finding that flat 5th here on the 10th fret of the G string, I'll find it on the B string instead. Okay, that's on the 6th fret of the B string. All right, take a close look at that. I can also find the minor 3rd on the 5th fret of the A string. Okay. It's really good practice to try to find where some of your notes lay on the fretboard, where they repeat is what I mean. Okay, so gives you a lot more freedom on the fretboard. Okay, always more than one way to play something. Okay, so those are the 2 scales that I'd be using to jam over this chord progression. Now there's one other little trick that I like to use, but first I will point out that I really like to throw in that blues scale. You can hear this in my demonstration when the G chord comes in. Okay, Okay? And if there's enough interest in it, later I'll tab out my solo for you if you all need some extra ideas if you're having trouble coming up with your own improvisations. Okay, and one last little solo and tip. Within this rhythm section of our instrumental section here, there's a D major chord. And there, in my demonstration, I threw in one of my favorite little arpeggio tricks. So when the D chord comes in, let's see, we're coming out of E minor. And the D chord comes in, just like that. I like to throw in very, very nice little phrase there. That's the 2nd fret of the G string, the 3rd fret B, and the 2nd fret of the high E string, outlining that D major chord shape. I'll stretch up to the 5th fret of the high E string as well. Sometimes I'll drop my pick, head on back, go to that 3rd fret high E string, 2nd fret high E string, and then I'll go to the 3rd fret B string, a D note. Okay, I could stop there, but maybe I'll slide up a couple of whole steps. Alright, then from there, I'm right in position to get into some of my blues scale licks. Okay, fantastic. You have the rhythm and lead sections for your intro, your verse, your bridge, your instrumental section. You even got some tips and tricks for how to solo and improvise over that instrumental section. And I hope that you'll practice and record your practice so that way you can go back and critique your approach to jamming over that progression. You have everything now to perform this song. Congratulations, you have another one in the bag. Alright everyone, thanks so much for checking out this lesson on Leonard Cohen's I'm Your Man. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much to my supporters at patreon.com/swiftlessons. I hope you're enjoying the extra resources. I've got many more lessons coming up, so keep checking back. Please subscribe, please share. This is Rob at Swift Guitar Lessons in Philadelphia saying happy picking.